Alright, take care of dinner and baths for the grandkids, will ya?
Dusty claiming she had errands to run, Cindy tried to leave her grandchildren with me. Enough is enough. I've been inconvenienced by her time and time again. But what did Cindy just say? Take care of isn't dinner and baths for the grandkids. She thinks I'm some kind of maid. This is ridiculous. I can't take it anymore, so I decide to stand my ground. Looking Cindy square in the eye, I retort,
Excuse me, I'm not a nanny, you know. I'm Liliana, 72 years old.
my husband Victor is a year older than me, 73. We have one daughter. She moved to the big city for a job and has been living in New York ever since, but she does visit us during long holidays. Though she didn't show any signs of getting married, even after turning 35, she finally did last year, giving both Victor and me peace of mind. We thought we'd made the most of the remaining years of your lives, so we decided to build the new house we'd always planned on. And actually, I was the one who strongly desired the new house. Being a watercolor painter, I'd always wanted a lovely studio. Even though I've made do with a room in our home until now, our old house was quite outdated. The floors creaked with every step, and the plumbing needed renovation. So we figured we might as well build a new house, customized to our liking. Though I'm past 70, I still have a decent income from opening solo exhibitions and publishing books. Therefore, I financed this new home. I haven't told anyone it's in my name. There's no need to. Since building my dream home, I've been thrilled to paint every day in my gorgeous studio. Victor, though retired, helps out at a friend's farm during the day to keep himself sharp. In the evening, we share a meal in our cozy wood-accented dining room and then relax in our spacious living room, sipping tea on the sofa. We often talk about how great it was to build this house. However, a dark cloud began to loom about a month after we moved in. My brother-in-law and his wife, upon hearing about our new home, started showing up unannounced. They are Victor's older brother, Endel, and his wife, Cindy. Their house is only a 20-minute drive from ours. While I understand they might be curious about the new place, it's just me at home during the day when they decide to drop by. I've got work to do as well, so frequent visits are really inconvenient to me. They've work to do as well, so frequent visits are really inconvenient for me. The third time my brother-in-law and his wife came over, I tried to gently let them know that I can't really entertain guests right now while I'm working from home. The people's saturns, they replied with, "That's fine, don't worry about us, we'll make ourselves at home."
That's fine. Don't worry about us. We'll make ourselves at home.
Sure, you might not worry, but I do. I bite my tongue to keep from saying anything. Before long, Cindy starts bringing over her 5 grandkids. My brother-in-law's family has 2 daughters, both married with children. These kids, all 5 of them, range from 1st to 4th grade. I've met them before, and they're adorable, but having them make noise while I'm trying to work at home is a different story. It'd be different if Cindy gave me a heads up, then I could prepare fix their visits. But no, she just started showing up unannounced with kids whenever they had a day off from school. It's just me and Cindy trying to manage these 5 little rascals, and she doesn't discipline them. at all. The kids say they're on an adventure, running through my house, playing tag and superhero games, even scratching up my walls. When I try to step in, Cindy says, "Why are you getting mad? They're kids."
Why are you getting mad? They're just kids.
Just to add insult to injury, she criticizes me for not having snacks or juice ready. "We come over all the time. You knew the grandkids would be here. Why didn't you prepare anything? You're inconsiderate."
We come over all the time. You knew the grandkids would be here. Why didn't you prepare anything? You're so inconsiderate.
"Well, I don't want you here in the first place, so why should I prepare anything?" Cindy's lax attitude only escalates the children's behavior until they actually walk into my home studio. Thankfully, they didn't touch my work, but that was the day I installed a lock on my studio door. Even with the studio off limits, the rest of my home gets trashed whenever they come over. When I finally asked her to reduce the visits, she told me this will be good practice for when you have grandkids.
This will be good practice for when you have grandkids.
Yeah, right. I won't have 5 all at once, and if they were my grandkids, I'd be keeping an eye on them. Today, after Cindy and the kids left, I let out a sigh as I looked at the room scattered with raised toys and candy wrappers. The toys probably came from their home, and the candy must have been given by Cindy.
Again.
My husband Victor just got home from work and says this to me, visibly frustrated. I get why he's annoyed, but I wish he'd say that to Cindy, not me. He's always been hesitant to speak to his older brother Randall, and the same goes for Cindy. Even when I ask him to do something, it's about Cindy's frequent visits. He shrugs it off, saying it's not like they come every day. Taking care of a few kids can't be that hard.
It's not like they come every day. Taking care of a few kids can't be that hard.
When I try to explain how much trouble these little monsters cause, he responds, they're just kids. If you watch them properly, the house wouldn't get this messy.
They're just kids. If you watch them properly, the house wouldn't get this messy.
I guess Victor can say that because he has never taken care of those little monsters. The final word from Victor is this. Enough already. Hurry up and clean up. You haven't even started making dinner. And have you? And Stuart mean, have you? Look, I've been busy watching the kids all day. I haven't had a moment to cook. Then, one day, Cindy crosses the line. She brings her 5 grandkids over and says, I've got errands to run. Please take care of their dinner and bath before heading out the door. That's it. I'm at my wit's end. After putting up with all her nonsense, until now, what did Cindy just say? Take care of their dinner and bath. She clearly thinks I'm some kind of housekeeper. Unbelievable. I've had enough. It's time for me to strike back.
I lock eyes with Cindy and say, "Oh, you do know I'm single, right?"
Cindy freezes, not knowing what I'm talking about. What is you going on about all of a sudden? Did you have a fight with Victor? Just take care of the grandkids, okay?
Ignoring Cindy's attempt to brush me off, I decide to drop a bombshell. I'm divorcing Victor, so I can't look after the kids.
What? If that's true, why are you still here? Shouldn't you be leaving?
I just came back to pick up my stuff.
The truth is, I haven't actually divorced him yet, but I'm seriously considering it. I contemplate telling Cindy that this is my house and Victor should be the one leaving, but I decide not to. Not here. Not now. If we do get divorced, Victor will have to leave. The reason this even came up is because of a fight I had with Victor. Cindy keeps bringing her grandkids over. They're running wild, and I can't manage them all. When I told Victor, he didn't get it. To make matters worse, he says things like clean up the room already. Is dinner ready yet? That was the last straw for me.
I can't be with someone who doesn't understand my situation. Let's get a divorce.
As you find Reynolds' grandkids cute, they don't come every day. Just take care of them when they visit on weekends. Berkeem daughters and mothers. See Plever 60s in Telfmash. If you keep making a fuss, they'll never want to visit us when we have our own grandkids.
Let's start with a separation.
Before I knew it, those words had escaped my lips, emotionless, directed at Victor, fed up with Victor, who wouldn't even consider what I'd been saying to him all this time and only blamed me when I mentioned divorce. I decided to take action right away. I quickly packed up some essentials and left the house. I didn't want to leave my own home with my favorite studio, but Cindy's constant intrusions made it impossible to focus on my painting. So I opted for renting a short-term apartment to get some peace. Just as I was packing my art supplies and clothes, Cindy showed up. It gestured towards Victor, who had just come out from the back room. Victor was usually busy helping out at a friend's farm, but he had stayed home that day, apparently waiting for me. I had no intention of going back until Victor understood what I was going through. If he expects me to take care of our future grandchildren, then he'd better set an example. At the short-term apartment, Cindy stopped showing up and I could finally focus on my work. Though it's a shame I couldn't use the studio I had built. At least I knew I could paint in peace. The weeks flew by as I immersed myself in art, keeping my phone off the entire time. When I finally turned my phone back on, I found messages and missed calls from Victor every single day.
The last message I get it now. You've been going through. I was wrong. Please come back.
It looked like actually dealing with those unruly kids had finally opened his eyes.
I texted him, "We'll talk at home," and returned home after 3 weeks.
Victor looked exhausted when he greeted me.
I'm sorry. Story's my sin.
The day I left to get my stuff, he had taken care of the kids for the first time and found it way more challenging than he had expected. He said he couldn't manage cooking and bathing them while they emating ran around and didn't listen to him. Eventually, he had to ask Cindy to take them back. He finally realized the tough situation I had been in and sincerely apologized for his earlier indifference.
I'll go talk to Cindy at Randall's house and tell her not to come over anymore. Please, let's start over.
Seeing Victor's earnest attitude, I decided to forgive him for everything. Aside from the issues with Cindy and the kids, I had no other complaints about Victor. Thus, our separation ended after 3 weeks. So, Victor made good on his word and went to have a talk with his brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Randall and Cindy. Randall was initially shocked, as Victor had never been assertive before, but he apologized, saying he didn't realize the situation was so bad. Cindy, as usual, didn't listen, insisting it was good. I MTE Atsavat. Practice for when they have grandchildren. It's in the middle of this heated conversation, their nieces and the 5 rowdy kids showed up at the parents' house, apparently by coincidence. The nieces asked Victor what was going on, so he told them how Cindy kept bringing the kids over to our house unannounced, leading to our separation. Upon hearing this, the nieces confronted Cindy, angrily asking, "Why did you do this? Mom said we could look after the kids. You've been taking them to Victor's house the whole time."
Cornered by the niece's questions, Cindy tried to deflect, saying, "Oh, that's not true."
However, a spontaneous testimony from the kids revealed the lie. Grandma always says we should go to our great-uncle's house because it's cleaner than here. Hearing this, the nieces scolded Cindy, saying they couldn't believe she'd been troubling me like this and asked her to never do it again. As it turns out, my nieces admire me as their watercolor painting teacher. During high school, they were part of the art club, and we used to paint landscapes together on nice days. Since they got married and had kids, we haven't had time to paint together, but they sometimes send me their art on WhatsApp and visit me when I have solo exhibitions.
The nieces were also angry on my behalf, saying, "Oh, why didn't you listen to Liliana? It's totally understandable that she left."
When confronted, all Victor could say was, "I'm sorry."
Later, the nieces and kids came over to apologize. The kids had been reprimanded by their parents and were quietly sitting down. They had given us a heads up this time, so I prepared snacks and juices that the kids like.
When I offered them, the kids politely says, "Thank you," and began eating.
As the nieces and I chatted about art studios, I decided to give them a tour of my favorite studio. Upon entering, their eyes sparkled and they said, "Wow, this is amazing."
Their compliments made me feel good.
But before entering the studio, the nieces warned the kids not to touch anything.
So, the kids looked around without messing with the art, asking their aunts, "What's this? What's that?"
After finding out about Cindy's constant visits to our house, the nieces decided to stop taking the kids to their parents' house. I felt a little sorry for Cindy, but apparently she never excaplines her grandchildren. That the last time they went to a toy store, she caused a lot of trouble. One of the kids was swinging a toy sword and ended up hitting other products, breaking them and suffering a minor scratch. Typically, it's the parents' fault if their kids break something in a store. However, Cindy angrily confronted the store clerk, saying, "Why do you have breakable items in a toy store? What if a child uses them?"
What if a child gets hurt? What are you going to do about it? Why do you have breakable items in a toy store? What if a child gets hurt? What are you going to do about it?
The parent of one of the niece's kids' friends happened to be there and contacted the niece. She rushed to the store, deeply apologized, and compensated for the broken item. Hearing about this incident made her even angrier. I think the kids would miss their grandma if she was always spoiling them, but apparently that's not the case, according to the niece. When the niece asked the kids if they wanted to see their grandma, they said, "Nah, we'd rather go to our great-aunt's house with Mommy." They added, "I want to play with great-uncle again." So in spoiling the kids and causing constant troubles for others, Cindy ended up being abandoned by both her niece and her grandchildren. Sad, but she had it coming. A crier T. Farseep was so desperate to see her grandkids that she pleaded with the niece. I won't take them to my son-in-law's place anymore. Just let them visit like before. But the nieces ignored her, thinking she would just cause trouble somewhere else. Then one day, Cindy apparently went to the elementary school to pick up the kids without telling the niece. The school teacher thought she was a kidnapper and called the police. Cindy was quickly to released after the nieces explained to the cops, but not without receiving a long lecture from them. She's now even banned from attending school events. We get that it's tough not being able to see the grandkids, but if she really loved them, she shouldn't have pawned them off on us in the first place. So, Cindy confuses spoiling with loving. Until Cindy can properly care for the children, they won't be visiting her. The nieces have started bringing the kids to our house every now and then. Of course, they ask for my permission beforehand. At least once rowdy kids are now quietly drawing pictures. We laid down a vinyl sheet so they won't make a mess, and they're freely drawing with crayons and colored pencils. The nieces are watching them while painting houses.
They asked great aunt, look.
One of the kids shows me a drawing of a superhero team. Oh, you're quite the artist, I said.
Einstein, then Victor comes home from work and two of the superhero-loving kids run towards them. He's the villain. They start chasing him around. Victor pleads with the nieces to stop the kids, but they laugh and say, well, you were the real villain. Weren't you picking on Liliana? I've reformed now. Help me. Victor and the nieces and I share a laugh.
We don't know if we'll ever have our own grandkids, but thanks to these children, we're getting plenty of practice, and Victor won't be playing the villain anymore.